moving on. Truly moving on. Okay, so
Hey everyone, so this is a follow-up from my What Are NBTs video series, and I just share some additional advice, tips that I think could be helpful to you. So sit back, listen actively, and enjoy.
now that you know what NBTs are, why they are important, what you need to be able to expect in terms of writing the tests, I want to just give some extra information that I think could be helpful. So there are going to be costs involved, okay? And I checked the website. These are the updated prices. So the cost for writing both your AQL and your MAT NBT test is 370 Rand for writing both your AQL and your MAT. And then if you only want to write AQL, the cost will be 150 Rand. Okay, notice I didn't say or math, because if you write math you need to write AQL. So those are the two options you have. You either write only AQL or you write both. You can't write either or. You need to write one only if you're not doing any math related degrees, and then you need to do both if you're gonna go into a math or science field. So that's the cost. Then next, I also wanna, the big question usually with NBTs is, okay, great, I know what it is, but when do I write it? Like, when? So it really depends, okay? I know there are some grade 11 learners who you can write NBTs if you're in grade 11. So I know there have been some people who wrote NBTs. However, I will say be careful with that. Just make sure that you work on a really strategic timeline, okay? So by strategic timeline, I mean, if you're gonna write your NBTs in grade 11 before you're in grade 12, make sure that you really do know the work that is expected of you to know. And some of the work are things that, I don't know about your syllabus or what type of school you go to personally, but at my school, a lot of the things that the NBTs tested me on were most of the things I did in grade 12. Some of it was from grade 11, but not all of the content was covered in grade 11. So I did it in grade 12, and hence I wrote my NBT test in grade 12. But I know some schools do, what is it called? A-levels. I think A-levels are a bit more like, they do things earlier, I don't know. But yeah, some schools may do some of the grade 12 curriculum in grade 11, but make sure that if you're gonna write it, when you're in grade 11, or if you're in grade 11 and you wanna write it, make sure that you know everything that is expected of you to know, and make sure that you've covered that content in your grade 11 year. Otherwise, I'd say write it in grade 12 when content is relatively fresh in your mind and you actually have done it and you get to actually understand it. And so time comes in, okay, like what time do I write it? So I checked on the website and they actually open registrations, so you need to register to write them, of course. Registrations open, I think this coming Monday. They open usually at the start of April. Registration opens, and the reason I tell you this is because dates are important. There are certain due or deadline dates for when you need to be able to register, because tests run at different times of the year. And so basically make sure that whenever you intend to write, on whichever date you do, that you fall within the deadline for registration for that specific test date, okay? And then I'd also say, in terms of like when to write, I would say I wrote personally, and this is the reason why I'll substantiate now. I wrote in July, and that was after my June examinations. And the reason I wrote in July was because I had just wrote my June examinations, and then right after my June examinations, I wrote my NBTs, because the knowledge was still fresh, and at that point I know that we had covered everything that I needed to know to prepare me well for the NBT test, and it also made it easier for me to actually like study for the test, because in a sense I wasn't only studying for the NBT test, I was also studying for my math exam. It just made sense, and I think it was a good decision, because it wasn't like at the beginning where things were relatively new. It was more towards the middle of the year, which fell in line with when I wanted to write it and when I told myself like I need to get it done by. So it depends on you. It really does depend on you. write it in an appropriate time that you feel works for you, and just make sure that you are on it for the deadlines. Just check the website for the deadlines. I will link the website in the description box, so please check out the website, do your own research as well, because at the end of the day, you know, I can only do so much. This is just a quick helpful video for you, okay? And then lastly, I just want to share some resources for you. And the resource that I have, I've mentioned it in a previous video that I have, which is like 5 helpful resources that, you know, matriculants need. If you want to check that video out, please do check it out. I think it's a quite a helpful video, especially if you are in matric. It's not only for matriculants. If you're grade 11 or in high school, I think you could benefit from it. Nonetheless, the resource that I have is called Olico, and Olico is actually a platform that can be used for a lot of other high school subjects. However, they do have an NBT test section on their website, and this is completely free of charge. The only thing that you need to do, I think, is need to create an account by just putting in your email, by signing up with your email and creating a password, and then you have an account on Olico. It's completely free though, from as far as I'm concerned. And you basically go, I think at the bottom of the website, just scroll, and then you'll find the NBT section on there, and it really gives you a good idea of what to expect. It is, however, not affiliated with the NBT institution. Whoever's in charge of the NBTs test, they're not affiliated at all. They just provide a good, kind of like an exemplary, like the NBT website also has some past exemplar questions for you so that you know what to expect. However, as you know, things are subject to change, so don't take it as this is exactly what's going to come in. It's just a guide, and it really is helpful. And the nice thing is that there are also videos on there, because if you don't know, for the math test, I had to write the math test because, you know, I'm studying actuarial science, so I obviously had to write it. But for that one particularly, we could not use calculators, okay? And if you don't know, in university you don't use calculators for when you do mathematics, like the module itself, mathematics. But yeah, so that to me was scary, because in grade 12 and up until grade 12, from starting high school, that's all I used, the calculator. So I had to learn to do calculations manually, and the NBT section on the Olico website had these really helpful videos where they teach you methods of how to solve equations manually, how to solve big numerical values manually, and there's a lot of other helpful videos to help you with some exam technique for the NBT. So I'd really truly recommend you check it out, and it's for free. You have nothing to lose, and if you really just want to make sure that you can do as well as you can, which I really hope for you, please do as well as you can in your NBTs, then I'd say please get as many resources as you can, but don't stress about it either. Just make sure that you are still number one priority if you're in matric, working as hard as you can, doing your best in matric, and the NBTs are sort of gonna go a bit easier if you are well informed in terms of what you're doing in your curriculum, and if you actually understand what you're doing in high school and, you know, in grade 12, because essentially that's what they're testing you on. Also, a lot of the principles that you really get tested on in your grade 12 exams as well are similar to that is being tested on in the NBTs. So that's all from my side. I really hope this video was helpful. If it was, please consider giving it a like. Hopefully, if you have anything to say, you can comment down below, and subscribe if you really want to join this community where I just share helpful tips, and I really want to empower you and give you advice based on my experiences, with the aim of also making sure that I'm able to give back. But also, this is a faith channel. A lot of the things that I am able to share is because of God's grace and His mercy in my life. And so I just want to say that focus on Him, focus on the Lord, make Him the center, and that's where it all really truly is supposed to be. No matter how difficult things can get, and I know especially you matriculants, I don't know how you're feeling, but I hope that it's been okay thus far. I hope it's been good actually, and if it's not been, it's okay. It's only the first term. Don't lose hope. continue praying, continue putting in all that you need to put in, and reach out for help if you need it. Please do. And even if you're not in matric, if you need help, please, it's not too late. I am one of those people who believes it is never too late until it's too late, which is never, you know, so that's great. However, okay, it sometimes can be too late, but you're still good. It's only the first term has officially ended, so I really wish you all of the best, and I really want you to go into this break feeling proud of yourself for doing what you could have done in this first term, but also giving yourself time to really think and reflect on what you did right and what you maybe did not do right, what things can change, so that you're better prepared for the second or next term that is to come, and so that you can give yourself the best chance at success and at achieving and obtaining your goal, whatever that may be. As always, I need to go now because you guys have a short attention span. Or maybe you don't. I apologize if that's insulting. I did not mean it in an insulting way. It's a joke. It's supposed to be lighthearted. I always say that sometimes. But I really truly hope that, you know, you have a great day. And this is me signing out.